Hello, my name is Joshua Mugabi. I welcome you to Hibiscus Flower. This is our hibiscus flower. They can exist in many colors, and we can easily see that it has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 petals. It has got a staminal tube. As it is coming upwards, up we can see the stigma dividing into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it has got a cluster of the stamen which are attached on the staminal tube. That is the hibiscus flower. Now, when we look at the different names, we name the parts of the hibiscus flower. You can see it has got down the pedicel. Then we come here. This is what we are calling the epicalyx. It has got some epicalyx. Then here we have the calyx, the sepals, which are fused. Then we have the petals, which we call the corolla. Then we have inside here the filaments and the anther, which give us what we call the stamen. And then we have the style here, which is fused, and then it has got the style branches, and then we have the stigma. Those are the different parts of the hibiscus flower. Now we are covering them. We want to see if we can still recall the different parts. So we shall start with the sepal. The sepal is this one here. The stigma. Stigma is which letter? A is the stigma. Filaments. What is the letter of the filament? E is the filament. Pedicle. J is the pedicle. Anther. D is the anther. Receptacle. The receptacle there. We have the style. Petals. Stamen. And the style branch. So we want now to describe the sepals of the specimen. Now, when you look at this one, which is still young, you can see the sepals that they are fused together. When you know the sepals are the ones that cover the petals when they are still in the early maturity stage, and when they open, they release the petals outside. You can see the sepals here, and you can see that they are also epicalyx. So they are 5 in number. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, meaning the fifth is the other side. When you come here, you can count them 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other one going that side. They are 5 in number. They are fused. That one we can see, this sepal and these ones, they are fused together. They join at the base, and they are green in color. You can see that their color is green, and they are tapering at the apex. When you look at the apex, they come at one point, meaning that they are tapering. At the apex, they are tapering at the apex. And they are hairy. If you look at them, you'll see that they have got a lot of hairs. They are veined. You can also see the veins in the sepals. We want now to describe the petals of the specimen. Here we can see that we have got 5 petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 petals. So here, when we have separated them, they are still 5 petals. They are 5 in number. That one we can count. We have already counted them. They are brightly colored petals. If you look at them, they have bright colors. They can be red, they can be orange, they can be white, different colors. and they are narrow at the base. When you look at the upper part, they are broad, but as you go to the base, they go on narrowing towards the base. And they are free. They are free, meaning that you can pluck off one by one. They are free, not fused. They are smooth. They are smooth. The lamina is smooth, and they are veined. When you look at them, you will see the different venation in the petals. Let's now try to suggest with reason the agent of pollination. What do you think is the agent of pollination? Their agent of pollination are insects. Reason is that they have brightly colored petal. If you look at the petals are brightly colored, meaning that they can easily attract the insects. And then they have a sticky and hairless stigma. They have a sticky hairless stigma, which means when the insect comes, it can easily drop the pollen on top of the stigma, which is going to attack or attract the pollen grains. They have nectar. They produce nectar. Of course, the petals will show the nectar guides, meaning that they have got nectar. Those lines that we are seeing in the petals, those are nectar guides. They guide the insects to go where the nectar is kept. So that means that they are pollinated by insects. The petals with pollen guides, we have talked about the pollen guides, those lines that you are seeing there. And they have got short filament and anthers. The filaments are shorter. When you look at the filaments, they are below the stigma, which means that the type of pollination here is going to be by insect. Pollen will be carried by insect to the stigma. And they have got sticky pollen grains. With reason, we are supposed to give the agent of pollination, which we have said it is the insects. Reasons, we have given bright colored petals. They have sticky and hairless stigma. They have nectar. The petals are with guides, pollen guides. Filaments are shorter than the stigma, and they have got sticky pollens. So here we can see that the insect is inside, of course. As the insect is moving inside and going deep there to get the nectar, when it comes out, it will, of course, brush on the pollen grains. And now when it flies away and it goes to another flower, it will carry that pollen grain to the stigma. Suggest with reason the type of pollination. The type of pollination here is going to be cross-pollination, and we have to give reason why we are saying cross-pollination. When you look at the stamens are below the stigma. This reduces the chances of self-pollination. So the anthers here and the filaments, they are below the stigma, meaning that there is reduced chances of self-pollination. Therefore, the type of pollination here is going to be cross-pollination. And the stigma branches away from the anthers. When you look at the stigma, they are branching away from the anthers, which means that they are not this pollen grain which is coming from these anthers is not the one which is going to pollinate this flower. And the stigma branches to offer the landing site for the insect. So when it branches, it is offering a landing site for the insect. When the insect comes, lands there. And as it lands here, of course, it is dusted with pollen coming from another flower, and that pollen is going to fall onto the stigma where it has landed. using a razor blade, cut the specimen longitudinally. So we are going to get a razor blade and cut the specimen longitudinally through like that. We are going to cut it longitudinally, and then we are supposed to draw and label 1/2 of the specimen. So when we cut through, this is what we are going to see at the lower end of our flower, half of it. So from the bottom we shall see there apicalyx, and then from the apicalyx we shall have the sepals. Then from the sepal we shall see the ovary that has been cut through. It has got an ovary with axial presentation. The presentation is in the middle, and the ovules are attached to the middle, which is axial. And then we can see the style moving upwards. Then we also see the point where the petals join the stamen. Here you can see that the petals are joining the staminal tube here, and this is the staminal tube, which encloses the style inside. Monodiporous staminal tube, we have a staminal tube on which on top the anthers and the filaments are going to be attached. So when we draw, this is what we are going to draw. You draw the flower stalk, you have the apicalyx, you have the sepal, you have the ovary, then of course you have the style moving away in the middle. The presentation, we can see that it is axial presentation, and we can see that the petals are above the ovary, meaning that this ovary is inferior ovary. So we have the staminal tube, and on top of the staminal tube we have the anthers. Then the style goes through the staminal tube, and it divides into 5, which gives us style branches, which gives us the stigma on top. State your magnification. Our magnification here is by 60. Which parts form the essential parts of the flower? Which parts form the essential parts of the flower? We have the stigma. The stigma is going to form an essential part of the flower. There is the style, and then we have the ovary. So that is one part of the essential parts of the flower. Then we have the anthers, we have the filaments, we have also the staminal tube is not part. Then we have which part form the non-essential part of the flower. Which one will form the non-essential parts of the flower? The non-essential parts of the flower, we have the petals and we have the sepals. Then we have also the apicalyx. Those we refer to them as non-essential parts of the flower. Then also we have the flower stalk. So those are the different parts of the hibiscus flower. You have the receptacle, which is down here. We have the apicalyx, we have the sepals, the ovary. When you have cut through it, this is what you are going to see. We have the style, and we have the petals. Here we have the staminal tube, the petals joining the staminal tube, which shows that the ovary is an inferior ovary because it is below the petals. So now when we cover them, is it possible for us to identify them? The sepal, which number is the sepal? Is number 3, apicalyx, number 6, ovary, 4, receptacle, 5, style, 7, 2, petals, 1, and then the stem, 7. Which part of the pistil, which part form the pistil, gynosia, or the female part? Which part form the pistil or gynosia? We have the style and the ovary. Now describe the stamen. We want to describe the stamen, the ones that we are seeing here. We can see that there is this one here, which is the staminal tube. It stops here. And then the style passes through inside the staminal tube and it comes out, and then it forms the style branches. So then it forms the stigma on top. It forms 5 of them. But now we are looking at the stamen. Describe the stamen. You can see that there are many anthers which are below the stigma. We have very many anthers we are seeing, and they are below the stigma. Then another one, the anthers are cylindrical, brightly colored, and small. They are cylindrical in shape. When you look at the shape, they are cylindrical, and they are brightly colored, and they are very small. Then there are many filaments fused to form the staminal tube enclosing the style. You can see that here we have very many filaments which fuse together to form the staminal tube, which encloses the style. Describe the pistil of the specimen. Now the pistil, we can see that they are 5 free bigs. They are 5 and free. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are free. They are big and they are sticky, and then they are colored, and they have got a round stigma. Those are the part of the pistil, and it has got a long fused style. The styles, they come here. The branches, they fuse together and they form a long style which goes to the ovary. So you can see we have here the stigmas with style branches, and then they fuse form one style which moves and goes to the ovary. They fuse, 5 of them fuse together and they form one style. And then at the bottom you can see that means that the 5 stigma, when they fuse together to form one style, when they go down, we shall have 5 fused ovaries. 5 fused ovaries. Describe the pistil of the specimen. We have said that they are 5, free, they are big, sticky, colored, round stigma. They have got a long fused style. They have 5 fused ovaries, and down is where we shall find our ovaries which are fused together. Still the pistil, when you look at the pistil down here, you can see that these ones are not fused. These ovaries, they are not fused, they are free. And even when they go up, you can see that they have got 5 free pistil, okay, up, stigma. But here we can see that they are fused. Remove the petals and the sepals of the specimen and draw and label the remaining part. So when you remove the sepals, you remove the petals, and this is what we are going to remain with. Remain with the epicalyx. We have the stigma, the styles, we have the anther, the filament, staminal tube. That is what we all see. State the magnification of your drawing. It is around 70. Thank you very much for participating in Hibiscus Flower. Please do like, share, and subscribe.